Michaela DePrince, the ballerina born during a civil war in Sierra Leone who performed in Beyoncé's Lemonade visual album, has died aged 29, according to an announcement posted to her official Instagram page. Her life was one defined by grace, purpose, and strength. Her unwavering commitment to her art, her humanitarian efforts, and her courage in overcoming unimaginable challenges will forever inspire us, the post read. She stood as a beacon of hope for many, showing that no matter the obstacles, beauty and greatness can rise from the darkest of places. No cause of death has been given. Her sister Mia said she was in a shock and deep sadness. DePrince made history as the youngest principal dancer at the Dance Theater of Harlem and went on to dance with the Dutch National Ballet and the Boston Ballet, where she was a second soloist. Her talent was brought to a wider audience with a cameo in Lemonade, the video that accompanied Beyoncé's album of the same name. DePrince told the Wall Street Journal she thought it was a joke when she heard the singer wanted her for the video, who told DePrince in person it was an honor to have her star. Born during Sierra Leone's brutal war and sent to live in an orphanage after both of her birth parents died, her father was killed by rebels and her mother starved to death. DePrince had an early life marked by the horrors of war. At the orphanage, she was called the Devil's Child and was ill-treated by orphanage carers because she had vitiligo, a skin condition that causes blotches of lightning skin. She witnessed one of her teachers be murdered by rebels and was stabbed by a little boy while trying to save her. I have actually a scar from it and it was a blackout after that. I have no idea how I survived that. It was awful, she told USA News during a 2012 interview, called Mabandi Bangura when she was born. DePrince first saw a ballerina on the cover of a magazine outside the orphanage when she was just 3 years old. I was just so fascinated by this person, by how beautiful she was, how she was wearing such a beautiful costume, said DePrince. Though she had no idea what ballet was, she kept the magazine cover and dreamt of one day becoming as happy as the dancer in the photo. Shortly after, DePrince was adopted by a couple from New Jersey and began a new life in the United States. Her family nurtured her love for ballet and enrolled her in classes. From the very beginning of our story back in Africa, sleeping on a shared mat in the orphanage, Michaela, Mabandi, and I used to make up our own musical theater plays and act them out. We created our own ballets, wrote her sister Mia, who was also born in Sierra Leone and adopted by the same family. In a statement, DePrince went on to earn a full scholarship to the American Ballet Theater's Summer Intensive at the age of 13 and earned another scholarship in the Youth America Grand Prix, the biggest ballet competition in the world. It was not a journey without prejudice. As a black girl in the predominantly white preserve of ballet, she almost quit at the age of 10 when a teacher said she did not want to put effort and money into black dancers, but her determination persevered. I'm still trying to change the way people see black dancers, that we can become delicate dancers, that we can be a ballerina, she told USA News at the age of 17, despite being told the world wasn't ready for black ballerinas or that black ballerinas weren't worth investing in. She remained determined, focused, and began making big strides, wrote dancer Misty Copeland in a tribute posted to social media. Michaela had so much more to give. She added, in 2014, DePrince co-authored a memoir about her life with her adoptive mother called Taking Flight, From War Orphan to Star Ballerina, and went on to become an ambassador for War Child Holland, promoting the well-being and mental health of children living in war zones. This work meant the world to her, wrote her family in their statement, asking that people donate to the organization in her memory. At just 16 years old, Michaela appeared as one of the main dancers in the documentary First Position featuring students vying for a spot at an elite ballet school, and then at 17 was featured on Dancing with the Stars. She would go on to appear in Beyoncé's Lemonade music video. Michaela also had a big role in Brandi Carlile's music video for her song The Joke. She also wrote a memoir called Taking Flight, From War Orphan to Star Ballerina, as well as a children's book, Ballerina Dreams, to inspire the next generation of dancers. Ballet icon Misty Copeland, who became the first African-American woman to be named principal dancer at the American Ballet Theater in 2015, said she was devastated by this news. In her 2021 book Black Ballerinas, Copeland, 42, recalled taking the young dancer under her wing at ABT's Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis School. She was a prodigious talent and the first darker-skinned dancer I witnessed come through the program, Copeland wrote. Colorism is without a doubt an issue in the professional ballet world, and her vitiligo differentiated her aesthetic even further. On Michaela's official social media pages, a spokesperson described her short life as one defined by grace, purpose, and strength, and someone whose artistry touched countless hearts and whose spirit inspired many, leaving an indelible mark on the world of ballet, and beyond. DePrince was also a dedicated humanitarian, advocating for children affected by conflict and violence. She served as an ambassador for War Child Holland and hosted her gala, Dare to Dream, dedicated to promoting the well-being and mental health of children living in war zones. The spokesperson said, "The Boston Ballet also remembered DePrince. We're sending our love and support to the family of Michaela DePrince at this time of loss," the ballet said, dedicating an Instagram post to her memory. "We were so fortunate to know Mabinty. She was a beautiful person, a wonderful dancer, and she will be greatly missed by us all."
My name is Michaela DePrince. When I first started to write my speech, I thought maybe I could give it a fairy tale kind of twist, but only because most people tell me that my life is a fairy tale. But I have to say, I strongly disagree. Yes, I got what I've always dreamt of, but I had to fight for it. I wasn't always called Michaela DePrince. My original name is Mabinti Bangura, and I was born in Sierra Leone, West Africa, in 1995, 4 years after the bloody Civil War. This war would displace thousands of men. It would cause thousands of women and children to be raped. And over 50,000 people would be killed. My parents were among them. I was born with vitiligo, a skin condition. It left white patches all over my body. I was different. In Sierra Leone, they didn't understand the fact that just because I had white patches on my skin, that I was just born this way. They thought I was a curse. They started to call me the devil's child, because anybody who would look like this would be the child of the devil. I was ridiculed and harassed because I looked different. My parents tried to defend me as much as they could, but they understood that I would never be able to get married because of the way I looked. They tried to educate me, they taught me to read, and they started to save money for my education. But when my parents passed away, I was defenseless and alone. I've never been so scared in my life. My uncle took me to the orphanage knowing that he could never get a good price for me as a bride, and never came back for me. In the orphanage, we were taken care of by aunties, not like the aunties you have at home, the aunties who love you, they care about you no matter what you do. But these aunties were uneducated women who only took care of us to bring food home for their kids. They would wash our clothes and give us food. But these aunties had their favorites. There were 27 kids in the orphanage. Number 1 got the biggest portion of food and the first choice of clothes. Number 27 got the smallest portion of food and the last choice of clothes. I was number 27. Every day in the orphanage, I was starving. I've never felt so alone before. How could this happen to me? This is when I realized it was much easier to not care about anybody because they always ended up leaving me. But then, I made a friend in the orphanage. Her name was Mabinti Suma. Number 26 was always in ill health, always sick, but she always had a kind heart, and she was always good at full cheer. Number 26 would always listen to all my fears and all my dreams. Whenever I was scared, she would sing to me. When I couldn't fall asleep, she would tell me a bedtime story. And number 26 is still doing that 15 years later as my sister Mia. And one day, the big wind threw a magazine right onto the gate at the orphanage. I reached out and I grabbed it. And I saw something. This amazing creature, this person I've never seen before. She was on her tippy toes and in this beautiful pink costume. But what really struck me the most was the fact that she looked so happy. I hadn't been happy in a long time. So I thought to myself, if she's happy because this is what she's doing, then maybe I could be happy too someday. I had to be this person, I just had to be in order to become something. So I ripped the cover off the magazine and I put it in my underwear because I had nowhere else to put it. Because as number 27, I didn't have anything to do. They would never give me toys or any clothes, so where else could I put it? And then a teacher came to the orphanage to teach us English. She was also pregnant at the time. I showed teacher Sarah the magazine cover, and she explained to me this person was dancing ballet. She was a ballerina. I was going to be this ballerina, I just had to be. I'd always go on my tippy toes every day and practice just like the ballerina. I thought maybe one day, with everything going so well, I finally had somebody who cared about me. Maybe one day I could be this ballerina. Teacher Sarah cared about me so much, and she knew how important it was for me to get a good education, so she would always give me extra lessons. After a few extra lessons, teacher Sarah and I started to walk towards the gate. Me twirling around, trying to be the ballerina on the magazine. And all of a sudden, 2 rebels come towards the gate, and a little rebel lagging behind them, and around the corner, a truck full of them. They were laughing and cheering. They must have been drinking a lot or under some type of drug, and they saw us. They saw that teacher Sarah was pregnant. They started betting on whether or not it was a girl or boy, and so they decided to find out. They took their machetes out and cut her stomach. It was a baby girl. If it was a boy, maybe she would have lived because they would have taught him to become a rebel when he was older. But it was a girl. So they cut her arms and legs off in front of me, and I tried to go save her, so I went underneath the gate. The little boy thought he should try to copy the older rebels. He took his machete out and cut my stomach. Now that you've heard my story, the beginning of my life, do you think it's a fairy tale? But soon my life would turn around. Soon I would have positivity in my life. I would find out that I was going to get adopted by an American family. It took me a while to get to my adopted family. We had to walk, all the orphanages, all the orphan kids had to walk from McKinney, Sierra Leone, all the way to New Guinea. And from New Guinea, we took a plane to McKinney. I was very sick when I got off the plane and just miserable and, how could my life get any better? I was a devil's child. Of course, nothing good could happen to me. And also, I was miserable because I thought I would never see my best friend again. But then I saw her. The lady in the bright red shoes. With the bright white hair. I've never seen anything like it before. She was my new mama. She reached out and said, "I'm your new mama." She grabbed my hand and my best friend's hand and walked us away. I was getting adopted with my best friend. We got to the hotel, and once my mom put her luggage down, I looked through everything. I looked through every nook and cranny, trying to find my pointe shoes, my tiara, and tutu. Because isn't that what always happens in a fairy tale? But they weren't there. I didn't speak any English, so I thought about the only way I could show her was to show her the magazine. I took it out of my underwear and I showed her, and she understood right away. She said, "You will dance." When I got to the US, I started taking ballet classes. My mom drove me every single day. Except before my first ballet class, I was so scared to show my spots, for the kids to make fun of me. I begged my mama to please buy me a leotard to hide all my spots. It was a long sleeve leotard that went all the way up to my neck. It was so hot and itchy, I had to take it off right away. And I put on my pink leotards and tights. I went to class once a week, twice a week, and then eventually by the time I was 10 years old, I was dancing 5 times a week. I worked as hard as I possibly could because I had to be this ballerina. It was the only way for me to be happy. But while I was working hard, I lost somebody. I lost my 24-year-old brother, Teddy. He was the person who made me be able to trust men again, to not be scared of black men who were shouting, to not be scared of men in general, to not be scared of my own father. And again, this is what always happens when I care about people. They always die and leave me. I decided to push my family away because if they died and left me, I don't know what I could do. I didn't want them to die because I cared about them. But my parents were able to convince me that even though the people I love may die, their love will always stay with me. Their love is a part of who I am today. I worked hard for many, many years, and then finally, my hard work paid off. I got accepted into a professional ballet company. I had become the ballerina that I've always dreamt of. I couldn't believe it. How could this happen to me? Again, I was the devil's child. With all this hard work going on, I didn't think that any dream like this could ever come true. I was very happy, finally, for once. But the reason why I'm here today, the reason why I'm telling you my story is because I want to encourage young people to aspire to dream. I want people to understand that it is okay to be different. It is okay to stand out. I'm different. And I want you to understand to believe in yourself, to believe that you have talent even if you don't think you do. No matter what circumstances you are under, no matter how poor or how sad you are at any given moment, believe. And dare to dream. Dare to push boundaries, dare to be different, dare to stand out, and all above. And last but not least, don't be afraid of living and loving.